Hi everybody, my name is Ian, welcome to my channel. So the real story, how I wrote the Happy Hippy song, the true story. So I wrote it back in the 1990s when I was still in school, a teenager, and that memorable day I went on the hop, which is a dossing or skipping classes or playing truant. But the real story began in honours mathematics class. And the nun who was teaching us, she looked at me as I put on my spectacles and she said, "Ian, when I look at you, I see the truth. Weed. And I hope you write a song about it," she said. So she was being very creative and she had a bit of a wanton streak. So I felt suddenly inspired and I opened my maths copy, and on the back page I started writing out the formula for success, shielding the secret from my friends. Anyway, later that day I went off skipping classes and I sneaked into the teacher's staff room to see could I borrow any cigarettes. Because the teachers used to smoke cigarettes in the staff room, but we weren't allowed to in school, you know. So I went through the teachers' pockets of their jackets, and in the PE teacher's jacket, sure enough, I found a packet of cigarettes, or a packet of fags, as we used to call them. So I took them, and I ran out, but I got caught by the PE teacher himself. That's what we call the sports teacher, or the gym teacher, you know, physical education, PE teacher. And he ran after me, and I ran for it. I legged it out the door into the yard, and he ran after me, and then I ran out the front gate of the school. And as I was running out the front gate, I looked back over my shoulder and I could see the PE teacher was getting into his car to try and pursue me. But he was having engine trouble for some reason and he couldn't start the car, so he decided he'd have to run after me on foot. And he did start running after me, so I hared it off up the road, legged it, ran full speed up the road with the teacher in hot pursuit, the PE teacher. And I ran up the hill, past the Field of Dreams where the fairies live, and over by the ruined church. And I sat down there and I said, I better give him a chance and I'll wait for him to catch up. Because I was very fit, I was only 17, you know, so I was very easily able to outdistance the PE teacher. So sure enough, about 3/4 of an hour later, he caught up and he was gasping, collapsing nearly from the effort of running up the hill. And he sat down on the steps to the graveyard and he said, "Oh my God, I'd give anything for a smoke. Anything, give me a fag. I'd give anything for a smoke." And you know, a funny thing happened then, a magical, mysterious, miraculous thing happened then. It might have been the spell that the nun cast in maths class earlier, but they said that that field was an Indian burial ground. Oh no, I made a mistake. A famine victim burial ground, they said. That the victims of the Irish famine, the Great Hunger in Ireland, that people were buried there, and that the field was haunted, and that the ruined church and the graveyard were haunted for that reason. And suddenly, with the spell that the nun cast, you know, sister, there was a shimmering of light, as if the barley was ripening in the field. And suddenly, the grass started shining emerald green in the fields. And this song came over the fields, over on the air, you know. It must have been the fairies or the elves out of J.R.R. Tolkien's stories that were singing it. And I could hear them singing, and it was the Happy Hippy song, perfect. And they sang it to me, and that's how I learned the song. The fairies sang it to me in the Field of Dreams in Crosshaven, in County Cork, Ireland. And it was a magical, happy kind of a song. And I thought, that's a wonderful song. So I remembered it. And it was a bit like the music from the Marys in the village, which we used to call pipers. And but I thought there's no way that magical song could have carried all the way from the village. How could it have gotten that far up over the fields and over the hills and still be heard? But how far it went in the end, how far it went. And at that moment then, because of the curse or the spell that sister cast, the nun, and the words of the sports teacher, the PE teacher, that he'd give anything for a smoke, suddenly this magic spell happened, and cannabis leaves, marijuana leaves started growing up out of the field like tangleweed, and they started wrapping all around him, choking him. And I couldn't believe it, that this plant, these weeds were growing up out of the field magically like that. So that's what happened. The PE teacher got his smoke, and the nuns got me my rebel hit syndrome.